Hello, I'm Mark Baer. You're watching the YourTown television program. My guest today, David Gubernick, and we're talking photography.
Yes, indeed.
So welcome.
Well, thank you, Mark.
Yeah. So first of all, let's just hold a couple of these up.
Okay.
This is a kind of a book on Big Sur that you did several years ago.
No,
oh no,
just
this is the
recently.
new.
Yep,
Okay.
just recently.
And the Wildflower book is older.
Right.
And
Correct.
this is the Wildflowers of Monterey County, which
Correct.
is an absolutely beautiful book. And this has been around for a while.
Yes, it has.
Okay, so now we've got that in the right order. And
Okay.
So let's just start with the basic questions. Is why do you photograph, and what got you about photography? So, and what's it about for you?
For me, I just love doing it. Okay, so it's at this stage, it's almost an addiction where I have to be out doing it. And what it's about for me primarily is really the beauty and magic that I see out there in the world. But it's a way also, I think, for me to connect with what's out there. So it's both a journey of personal development as well as the actual expression of the beauty that I see in a form, in this case it's photography, that I hope I can share with a lot of other people to help them also appreciate what's out there in the world, or at least the beauty that I'm seeing.
The camera as a vehicle really makes you look.
Well, it does in the sense that, when you look, different ways of approaching it. You look through that little viewfinder where everything, the rest of the world closes off and you're kind of just right in there. It helps you, but it doesn't force you to really see. I think that's a tool technique or a form that you develop over time in terms of seeing and looking and really allowing yourself to come in contact with your own inner emotional feelings and expression. And I think that's really, at least for me, what I see out there in the world. There are a lot of photography or images that I see that don't move me whatsoever. Then there are others like, oh, my God, incredible imagery. And it's that kind of beauty and that kind of connection with the image that I'm seeing that really is in part a reflection of the beauty that's within. And so it's a matter of, allowing myself to be in contact, if you will, with my own beauty, my own inner workings, but also putting that out there in different ways. In this case, for me, it's primarily through photography.
And how does so you've been doing this over a number of years, and how does the eye develop? How do you get, how does your vision and your aesthetic, so to speak, sharpen over time, and can you notice it?
I notice it when looking back at older work.
Yes.
And saying, oh my God, I took that shot, or that looks like that. What was I thinking at the time? I think it takes a lot of looking at imagery, and not just photography, but other forms of artwork, as well as doing just a lot of shooting, and also getting a lot of feedback from other people whose work in one way or another that you admire, or there's something about the work that you appreciate that you feel as if those other people can provide you with feedback that would be beneficial to you.
And we're generally talking about the term called fine art here.
Yeah.
Fine art photography, which
sure.
is distinct from commercial photography.
Exactly. Exactly.
And
but they blend.
But they can. Yeah, they blend. But it's
when it's done well.
Yes. And before we go further in photography, let's give the audience a little bit about who you are and your background, because I know you were an academic before all this.
Yeah, I was a scientist by training, animal behavior, and for years and years did a lot of research, taught at University of Wisconsin-Madison. And during that time, I was getting into photography. Because because I went to Africa on a trip, thought, let me get a camera, do some shooting, document it. And then I got more and more into it by actually shooting a lot of wildflowers and domestic flowers. And I got lost in it. Of course.
What brought you to flowers? Just because they're
beautiful.
Yeah.
I love the colors
and
the shapes and forms, and particularly when you get up real close, so macro photography, And you're really into this whole other world of color, shape, forms, lines that you don't ordinarily see with the naked eye.
Yes.
And so that just drew me in,
Uh-huh.
and then just kept doing that. And it's really funny because the first time I ever showed any of those images, I was really, hesitant to show them to anybody other than my friends who say, hey, these are great.
Yeah.
But, they're my friends, so they're going to say they're terrible.
Yeah.
So I brought them to an artist. Well, it wasn't a co-op. It was sort of a commercial store that had a lot of different kinds of artwork, pottery, paintings, other kinds of crafts also. And asked the woman there who was running to take a look at my images and see if she'd be interested in carrying them. She took a look and said, no, thanks, I'm not interested. And then I asked for some feedback. And she really panned them. She didn't like them whatsoever. A few days, and I was like, wow.
And was her criticism valid?
No.
No. That's interesting.
No.
Okay.
No. Because my reaction internally was like, wow, she really doesn't like these. And I knew they weren't that bad.
Yeah.
And so a few days later, I actually went to an artist co-op, showed them the exact same thing. Said, wow, these are great. We love these. We'd love to give you a show. And so it was like right away, my first, experience with the fine art world or the world out there commercially with photography was one end no, the other end love it.
Yeah, so no one knows nothing, but there is, so what that teaches is you end up having to be your own arbiter in many ways.
Well, yeah, and I think that's the case anyway.
That's always, that is the case, but it's, for a young, vulnerable artist, that can be very...
Oh, devastating.
That can be very devastating,
Yeah.
or very valuable.
Yeah.
Depending on how
they react to it.
And how good
that feedback was.
Not everybody's a good, there are good critics. Not everybody's a good critic.
Right.
And I've also noticed there's a lot of photographers, and they're not all good photographers. And it's so amazing to me that the few really superb photographers that I've out of the many, that I can look through hundreds and hundreds of people's photographs, because as one tends to do. And there's one guy that their work is so crisp and pops, and yet it's so it's hard to articulate what that difference is. It's a little pop, and why that is so hard to that difference. What is that difference?
And I think that's also at the same time a reflection of ourselves when we're looking at other artwork.
Yes.
And combined with obviously what the artists themselves are doing. And yeah, I mean, a lot of photographers who, they'll never be great, outstanding photographers, which is unfortunate. And I'm not clear really what that's really all about. Because I do a lot of teaching, photography workshops. And my goal is to help other people develop their visual voice. And, even...
Let's just stop
Sure,
there.
sure.
A voice.
Yeah.
That's the essential artistic ingredient. And I'm going to let you expound on that a bit.
Sure. Well, helping them, develop their visual voice. And that, that's always a challenge because particularly when starting out, you don't know, where you're going and obviously you don't really know where you're going to end up. I mean, you may have some idea, but if you allow yourself the flexibility of following sort of the leads that are there for you, it takes you in different places. So, but for other people and their visual voice, I think what tends to happen is people get locked into the way things should be, or the way they, in quotes, have to be. And that's getting down into all the various kinds of rules around whether it's photography or any other kind of artwork. And for me, I, even in the workshops, I'm trying to help people understand that, look, know the rules, understand them, but break them. Don't get locked into it, because this is about you and your artwork and your expression, and it's really about your voice. And your voice can't have a voice if everyone else is kind of speaking in your ear to tell you how it's supposed to be. So it's really, at least for me, about being in contact with my inner self and what I'm trying to express, and also having to share that with others and help them develop their own voice, however that, whatever form that takes.
Now, the other thing that we discussed is I've noticed in photography it kind of breaks down into two camps. There's people who are very technically proficient and masterfully technically,
Right.
and there's people who it's more coin and click, but their strong point is their own poetic sense.
Yep.
And
Yep.
you know the picture will take, you know, so you don't need the best camera, the best thing. Your sense of poetry, your own sense of a visual voice will allow
It'll
it.
come out.
And those are they're two kind of separate. And when the two things are in tandem, excellent technical mastery
And skills, right?
which allows you more range of, you know, the more you understand your camera and all those little dots on it and what all those different things can
Right.
do, the more, the bigger your vocabulary. I think visual vocabulary is another question
yeah.
we should talk about.
Well, even mastering the technical aspect of it, it's just allowing you to be able to use those tools and know how to use
Just
them.
how to do that. That isn't the end of
But
itself.
not at all.
Yes.
Although I think a lot of people get hooked into that or locked into
Yes.
that. It's the other end of it, and I think you're absolutely right. You don't really need full technical mastery of all the tools. Well, you need mastery of the tools that would help you express what it is you're trying to express.
Yes.
So again, the tools that enhance your own visual voice.
Yeah. So the picture's telling you about two things.
Yeah.
It's telling you subject and author, and it should be informing you about both things.
Well, it's telling subject and author in terms of the author's expression,
Yes.
not necessarily their technical skills.
No, right.
'Cause it just depends upon what,
technique should be invisible.
or at least not the significant primary
thing,
focus
yes,
of attention.
yes.
Yeah, exactly.
So let's get to the important things areas. Your workshops. Let's get a little of the business done
Sure,
here.
sure,
Yeah.
sure.
Let's talk about that and,
Okay.
and how people find you and what that experience is.
Okay. Well, first, from my end, I love workshops and teaching workshops
Yeah.
and helping other people. And so I teach workshops.
And you benefited from workshops of others.
I've taken only 2 workshops in my whole photography career. One was one of these gigantic ones. It was a Great American Photography Weekend. You know, thousands of people. And then another one was a much smaller one. Neither of them did I learn very much.
Oh, well, there you go.
So I learned primarily from shooting, reading a lot. You know, at that time, shooting slides, so I can see exactly what I shot rather than color film or black and white, and then throwing out tons and tons of film. I keep shooting, keep reading, looking at imagery, looking at whether it's in painting or drawing, photography, or wherever. So for me, for whatever reason, maybe I was, you know, older, getting into photography, those particular workshops didn't do a lot for me. Having said that, now it's kind of strange that here I am teaching workshops, but the workshops that I teach are really to help other people grow as a photographer. So I teach workshops on whether it's a topic like astro landscape photography, nighttime photography, or it's on locations, for example, Big Sur workshops that I teach. I also teach nighttime workshops like at Bodie State Historic Park in the Eastern Sierra. I teach wildflower macro photography, so real close-ups of flowers. And all of those areas are kind of challenging, and because I have experience going through it and teaching myself, I then know what are the issues and what could make it easier for other people to also learn.
Rainbowspirit.com.
Yes, that's my website.
Which is
rainbowspirit.com.
pretty easy to remember. So let's say that one more time. Rainbowspirit.com, and we'll know where to where they can find you.
Yeah, it's also located there.
So let's talk about and you also do commercial shoots. Let's talk about that a bit.
Yeah, the commercial shoots I do mostly are real estate, architectural. I've also done other shoots for fitness centers, for dairy industry, for agricultural industry. So I do commercial shoots for a lot of different things. I don't do weddings. I don't usually do portraits or people stuff. That's not where my passion is. So it's these other kinds of commercial. And the last one I just did was for the Big Sur Lodge. I mean, their whole property and buildings and everything.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it was a big shoot. And I also did work for a large forest company. But those are the commercial parts, and then the other part, which is the for me, the heart and soul work of the photography is, teaching the workshops, and as well as selling my prints, and showing them and having exhibitions.
How big a part of it is your academic background? And because again, you are a teacher by training, so everybody has workshops, but everybody's not a trained teacher by profession, and that has to be very helpful in your toolkit.
Oh, it is. It is. First off, I love teaching.
Yeah.
And so that's the other part of
Yeah.
it. And when I'm teaching in academics, I have to arrange the material from the basics and building blocks, because I know where I want to take people. But in order to get them there, we have to start back here at the basic building blocks to get them, going on that path. So yeah, my academic training and teaching certainly comes into play in my workshop teaching.
Yeah, nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Besides your website, where can people see more of your work?
That's the primary place. There's still some images, I believe, at Ventana Inn and Spa in Big Sur. And that's it, really, at this point.
That's a nice room that they have there. That's a nice place to see art. Yeah. Yeah, that's a very nice place to see art.
Yeah, reception area as well as in the spa. Yeah, those are the primary places right now.
So just we just have a little time, but I want to kind of conclude with what's exciting you now, because we talked before. It's always you always want to be something new. When you start repeating yourself, this gets to be a very boring game.
Yeah, exactly.
And what are you seeing new? I know that you're dealing with some nighttime stuff. I'll let you say it.
Well, some of the stuff currently is working with dunes that I've photographed during the day. But in post-processing, I'm changing them around to look more like really dark night, maybe even under moonlight. So it's totally different. You don't normally see images of dunes like that. But it was partly a discovery on my part of changing that look, and then it's like, wow, and then I'm going in after it. And at different times I get bored with my photography and want to do something new, to be inspired by something. Yeah. And I think I'm in that stage again right now. Waiting and looking to be inspired in some fashion by something, and I don't know what that is just yet.
And change is good.
Yes.
Art. Change is necessary in art.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Well, so anyway, let's say it one more time: rainbowspirit.com. We'll repeat everybody: rainbowspirit.com. David Gubernick, photographer. This is excellent work, and geez, I'd like you to be my wildflower guy. It's wildflower season right now.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
Anyway, you're watching YourTown television, and you're watching YourTown television. I'm Mark Baer, and we'll be back.